Hello, good evening. It's evening here in New Jersey, and I know it's about to be 11 o'clock, or is it already? It's 11 o'clock there in the Philippines, and welcome all to the welcome once again to the Detox for the Soul 2021, a special reflection for the Lenten season. Today, we are 2 to 3 days away to the Passover, which is the beginning of the Holy Week. And today, we are going to be answering a very sensitive question for many of us. It is hard to, personally, I find it very hard to quiet down and really find the silence that we all got used to growing up. We always, say that the Lenten season is a time for peace and quiet. And with all honesty, ever since being here in the United States, um, the Holy Week has always been uh, either a week of work or a week of vacation, and things have really changed from the way we have practiced the Lenten season, especially the Holy Week back in the Philippines. I remember pretty well that my family, kami sa akong mama, family sa akong auntie, sa akong mama, na ami sa Cebu nga gyud, no? Every time na mag-Holy Week, especially when we were younger. And naa ka sa bukid, mingaw, nya, dili magluto og kanang lami nga pagkaon. No, as a child, that really went deep into my heart and my mind, and I treasure those days. And as a parent now, I'm trying to do that with my children, with my family, and at the same time try to show to them how it was like during my time, at the same time trying to understand how is the Lenten season and the Holy Week for them. And once again, as parents, it's really on our shoulder. The responsibility is on our shoulder to show to our children what is the Lenten season like for Christians and especially for Catholics. So maybe I might eventually cut down on the technology come Friday, Saturday, and then get back on Sunday, which really makes sense because my boys will have classes until Thursday, Holy Thursday. They still have to go to school online and in person for JB. And of course, they will not feel the Holy Week the way that I used to feel before. But either way, we're still going to teach our children and how to do that. And I have been sharing with them the detox for the soul, and we have been talking about it as a family. And I'm very happy that I'm able to go online today, this morning in the Philippines, this evening in here in New Jersey, the United States, so that we can touch on the very sensitive question of, let me just show you. Okay, we are on this question. All right. What hurts my pride? That will be our topic of reflection. And my partner, supposedly Louis Dino, is to join me, and she's still messaging me in Facebook. I hope she'll be able to get in, but if she wouldn't be able to join me today, diha sa Pilipinas, or tonight here in the United States, that is okay. So if I'm going solo tonight, I'm very much aware that the reflection I will be able to share with you guys is going to be limited. In my very short experience of doing reflection, The reflection is made rich when you have friends who share your faith, who share your beliefs. And since I'm going solo tonight because she is still struggling to join me here live in my personal Facebook page and in my personal YouTube challenge, then I might not be able to enrich this reflection as much as it would have enriched you guys if there were more people to join me. Okay? So, nevertheless, let's begin. Let's have a moment of silence, thinking about how we are going to spend our Holy Week, which is about 2 to 3 days from now. 2 days, if you're in the Philippines, kung namo sa Pilipinas, duha na lang kaadlaw, unya, tulo kaadlaw para namo nga naangari. Okay? Let's begin. We will only have one reading today, and that is from the Old Testament. Our reading for today is from the book of Sirach, chapter 10, verses 6 to 17. Pride. Don't be angry with someone for every little thing that he does wrong. Don't do anything out of injured pride. Arrogance and injustice are hated by both the Lord and the people. Injustice, arrogance, and wealth cause nations to fall from power, and others then rise to take their place. We are only dust and ashes. What have we got to be proud of? Our body decays even while we are alive. A long illness puzzles the doctor. Even a king may be alive today and dead tomorrow. When a person dies, all he then possesses is worms, flies, and maggots. Pride has its beginning when a person abandons the Lord, his maker. Pride is like a fountain pouring out sin, and whoever persists in it will be full of wickedness. That is why the Lord brought terrible punishments on some people and completely destroyed them. The Lord has overthrown kings and put humbler people in their place. The Lord has pulled up nations by the roots and established humbler ones in their place. The Lord has overthrown empires and completely devastated their lands. He destroyed some so completely that they are not even remembered anymore. The Creator never intended for human beings to be arrogant and violent. Let us take a moment to reflect upon the topic of pride in the book of Sirach. Here are our questions as guide for reflection. Lord, when you made me, what were your thoughts of me? Did you ever think of the skills, the talents, and abilities that you were going to bless me with? Did you think how much it would actually become a source of joy or pride for me? Is my pride useful? Does it add meaning to my life? Does it help my soul mature? Does it bring myself closer to you, Lord? Lord, what do you think of me when I claim success? When I claim all the skills, wealth, power, fame as a result of my own efforts and not of your blessings? Help me open up my eyes, Lord. Let me see myself the way you see me. How does my pride hold me back from growing closer to you? Help me, Lord, understand what my pride is really for. Let's again take a moment to reflect upon those questions and to ask ourselves, why is my pride important to me? How do I perceive myself? Do I feel important, vulnerable, skillful, successful? Do I feel like everything that I have done is something that is a result of my effort? Or do I see who I am right now as a blessing from God. Let's now move on to discussing our topic for tonight, what hurts my pride. And truly, this would have been so much better if there was somebody with me tonight. But despite that, let's cover some things that we know about pride. So we ask ourselves, why in the first place did God even put pride in our hearts? And I think that question is quite easy to reflect on because in our previous discussion, we have already talked about how God has put in a lot of emotions inside of us to help us, become a balanced person. And we even thought of anger before as something that can turn out to be positive because anger actually prompts prompts us uh, to do good things for other people. And here comes pride. I think we can all agree that pride actually protects us. Okay. Pride protects us from being abused by other people in terms of uh, asking us to use our skills in ways that might not go along with our own principles and values in life. So pride tells us that, hey, I'm not going to do that because I don't feel good about it and I think you're just using me. And pride is helpful when, people are not only trying to harm or to use us, but also to harm us in a way that it will actually destroy our soul. Like, for example, um, we are made to say yes to situations like giving up our personal values in order to serve a purpose. Like, for example, I'm having a hard time with this because I it's been a while that personally I let people come up to me and just, you know, ask me to do things that I don't want to do because it doesn't sit well with me. And I have, in a way, used my pride to protect myself, my soul, my family, and it has been really helpful. And pride has its use. So it's hard to really put that boundary or that fence where I'd say, okay, this is where I say no because I feel like it's harmful to myself. But then at the same time, hoping that other people said, yes, I understood or understand you for saying no. For, in the past, I used to have a hard time saying no to others because things did not feel right with me. And people have deemed that to be because, my pride has grown bigger than it should have been. But behind it all, I have actually used pride to really say that I cannot do some of the things that are asked of me. So in that case, I have actually used pride to protect, what I believe, to protect my soul. And if you have met before, a long, long while, like about 13 years, 15 years ago, you would probably heard of the situation I was in. It was big, okay? And it was a situation that was really full of pride. Older professors ganging up on me. I was very young, and certainly I didn't have to say this just because it's coming from me, but because of the people involved who were trying to fix the situation. And they really said that pride was used to forward whatever cause, the people had against me. And it was a very difficult situation that I promised myself that those years that it happened to me, that as much as possible, I will not use my pride to go out there and hurt someone. That if pride has any use at all, I will use my pride to push myself to work more, to self assess myself and say, hey, my work is not something that I could not be proud of. So I need to work a little bit more to make it presentable, to make it meet some certain standards. And that's how pride has become useful for me. Now, when is and why is pride a problem? So, pride becomes a problem when it's really based on self centeredness. I have read this book by John Maxwell, and he discussed about pride as being destructive not just to the self, but as we already know, pride is very destructive to social relationships, to our relationship with our spouse, our relationship with our children, our relationship with our elderly parents. Okay, that I really want to emphasize in that elderly parents. Pride is very destructive to family members who are not as blessed as we are. Pride is very destructive to a group of teachers, colleagues, co-workers who each have members of high high self-esteem that needs to be checked. Okay, pride is very destructive in the community when our politicians and leaders don't listen to the people because they can only afford to listen to themselves. Pride is very destructive among nations because when one nation will claim superpower over the others, it really blurs the needs of those who are poor and are at the back of the society, and it only highlights those who are capable of forwarding their lifestyle, their philosophy in life. Okay, and I am speaking in behalf of, the people that I feel for, which is the Filipino people. I know how it feels like to believe to be living, to be struggling in a third world country, and I'm very very thankful to God that He has also shown me this kind of living in a first world country, and I have, but in my eyes have been open to um how much pride can really push people forward, and how much it can also push people backward, whether it's in the level of being a country, or in that kind of level already, like when we're talking about countries and the relationship with each other, and also pride in the level of a very personal level, like you, me, our friends, our families. It's nice to see that pride is actually active, and pride can be very self-destructive, and pride can also be protective. And um, pride becomes a problem when it's really self centered, because the opposite of love is not really hate. Okay? The opposite of love is actually self centeredness. And when a person is so full of themselves, is so self centered, um, is having so much pride, love gets being deleted. Okay? Love fades away. Love knows how to give, but pride and self centeredness does not know how to do these things. Okay? So, according to John Maxwell, pride prevents us from acknowledging our vulnerabilities. We don't want to show, or we don't want other people to know what our weaknesses are. And we become uh, driven by this ability. We become driven to just show our strength. When we have so much pride in us, we just want to show what we're good at. It's very hard for a person who's full of pride to admit that there are things that they're not good at. And shame driven pride makes us feel vulnerable and very uncomfortable. We do not like saying sorry. And saying sorry is very difficult for a person who has so much pride, because, of course, that's admitting that we are somehow weak. Okay? And weakness is deemed by people who pride themselves on hard work, on being strong, as something like a downfall. So pride can look in many can present itself in many different ways. Pride can be an excessive self-love. Okay, so just to be very clear, self-love is good, but we know, I know when how excessive self-love looks like. Okay. And pride also is a preoccupation of self. Okay. And I always try to sit down with myself and assess myself, whether I'm in the bus going to work or going home. I always try to I use that time to really reflect. Hey, self, how are we doing today? How did we come across people that we were working today? Uh, were we too preoccupied with the thought of self, with the thought of delivering a lesson, or just pushing our costs, and not, you know, being able to say, hey, I can't do this anymore, or hey, I'm sorry, I really could not meet with the expectations. So I try to do that on a daily basis, and I find myself failing, about 50% of the time, that I have actually used my pride to advance cause, and I have not been thoroughly honest with saying no. No, saying no is very important. I should tell you that. I think so, that it is important because the moment we say just yes to everything, and because we don't want to be deemed as weak or or incapable of doing things, that's actually pride itself. Okay. So why is pride really destructive? Pride is destructive because when a person has full of it, the person may let others suffer. Okay? We let other people suffer because number one, we don't want to say sorry. Number two, we don't want to reach out and help because we don't want these people to be just like us. We don't want them to have the same skills. We don't want him to have the same abilities as us. And so we hide things from them and we lie to them and we don't tell them the truth because truth actually set people free. And it's true. Truth set people free. And when we are, when we tell people the truth, we don't want them to be free. We want them to be suffering in their own belief so that, their struggle can continue. And that is what's wrong with pride, that it stops us from reaching out to other people. And I always ask myself, Lord, when I am being like this, how do you remind me that I too, need other people to reach out to me? And how do I look when I'm so full of myself? That's the question I want to ask myself some more this Lenten season. And whenever I say, I've done this and that, I've accomplished this and that, I always ask myself, Lord, how did I look to you when I was claiming something that you actually blessed me with? uh did I sound like, I was too much? Because truly there's nothing that I have done that I have done by myself, that I would claim it was me. Many Most of the things I have done in this life has been because someone has given me faith. Somebody has believed in me. Somebody supported me. And somebody pushed me to do it, you know? So I'm very much aware of that. And I always ask myself, whenever I feel like I want to claim on something and say, hey, that was my idea, I always ask myself, why did I have the idea in the first place? Did God put it in my head because he wanted me to share such opportunity to other people? So these are the thoughts that I want to continue um, reflecting on because it will help me lead to answering the question, what hurts my pride? Okay. And since that's the focus of our discussion tonight, now that I have laid a foundation of what is pride, how does pride look like, when is pride a positive thing, and when is pride a negative thing, and uh, what are, how do people feel when they have pride in themselves? How does it look like when I have pride in me? I want to answer now the question, what hurts my pride? So I did all these questions, and while I was writing all these questions, I also was actually trying to dig deeper into myself and ask myself what really hurts my pride. And, earlier today, I was doing something, I was walking, I was doing my exercise, and I realized that tonight I wanted to share with you that when I was little, what hurt my pride are more or less the same as now that I am an adult. So, when I was little, what really hurt my pride was people making fun of me. That really hurt my pride. Okay. And I remember pretty well that because my last name was Hopia and Jopia, I was teased by that. Okay. And people called me by that, and it was made fun. And even the teachers made fun of me because definitely they talk about buying my last name from the bakery. You know, at that time, it really hurt. And then way towards, I would say college, that didn't hurt anymore because I finally found an advantage to having such a funny, unique class name. When I ran for the Supreme Student Council, and a lot of people remembered me because of my really odd and funny last name and Hopia, and everybody was saying, "Oh, vote mo ni Hopia, ha, Hopia." Okay, so I really finally got over it. And if anyone's gonna make fun of it right now, seriously, I'm just gonna laugh with you because I realized that what hurt me when I was young was actually something that was more on the level of, how do you call that? Really something that other people find funny. And that it took me a long time to find it funny. That's why it hurt my pride. So, in other words, my pride gets hurt if I don't see the good of what's going on in my life that is hurting me as of the moment. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. What hurts my pride is something that is happening to me that hurts me for the moment, and I do not see yet the value of it, which will actually eventually happen in the future. Okay. So it was an attack on my person because that was my last name. And it hurt me when I was young. And now that I am more, let's say, mature or older, um, what hurts my pride when I said it's more similar, it's because it's again the attack to a person that hurts my pride. I still do get hurt, when my person is being attacked, whether that's my last name, whether that's the work that I do, whether it's how I look, okay? It hurts, but only a little bit. And I want to talk why. Okay, over time, because I really try to reflect on, things that make me feel uncomfortable, and I, pray over it, and I submit it to God, and I always ask Him for wisdom to see things differently. I, there are some of the things that used to hurt my pride when I was younger that no longer hurt my pride because I found out that when I rely solely on myself, on what I think of me, on how I perceive the world, I am more vulnerable to feeling pain. I am more vulnerable to um, perceiving it as something against myself. But when over time, over many reflections and readings, I have realized that there are basic principles, that there are teachings of God that we cannot actually negotiate. I have focused less on myself and focus on those things. So now I am more offended, and my pride is hurt when there is already a certain agreement, and there is already the 10 commandments, and there is already a contract between myself and others, and then suddenly people don't keep their word. That really hurts my pride because I feel like it's an attack to not just my person but also the agreement between myself and that person, okay, between you and me. So if you all agree that we're going to work together, if you all agree that we are going to follow this set of principles, and all of a sudden, you turn your back on that, you do something that destroys our agreement, I realized that recently in my life right now, that really hurts my pride. Okay. It hurts my pride because I have submitted myself to agreeing with you. And then here you are breaking everything that we are trying to agree just because you prefer yourself over the group. So that's where I am right now. And I've always been, how do you call this, I've always asked God to help me see through all of this, you know, and but it still hurts me. And on a very personal level, if Alvin and I have agreed to do this, like for example, we agree that this is the kind of schedule we're going to have, I I want us to keep that schedule. And it really hurts my pride when you don't follow that schedule because what, again, attack to the person. What about me? I already have, given up so many from my personal schedule to have this group schedule. And then here you are, you just easily, you know, give up the group schedule to pursue your personal schedule. And that really hurts me. And that makes me upset. And that makes me mad, and then that makes me don't want to talk for a long time. And this is where I am, and I want to see some, I want to see it a different angle. I want to see it as how do you call this, as God probably wants to see it, in terms of people making, personal comments and my weight, my look. Uh, it depends now who's saying it, okay? If it's some Alvin, I'm like, whatever, okay? I just laugh at it. He just keeps telling me, sige naman kagkatawa, mami. Oy. I mean, like, it's so funny if you live together, if you know each other for a long time, and you're still making comments on how I look or how I weigh. That's like, okay. And when it's somebody else also that's not really within my personal circle, it's like, ugh, okay. So doesn't really matter. And going online, doing solo tonight is, I've given up my pride for, thinking, ay, ako lang usa, ana, ay, okay lang na, because one of the things that helped me really like lessen the pain or lessen the feeling of being hurt for my pride is knowing and understanding that we all have personal mission from God. So what matters more? My pride, my opinion of myself, the opinion of others and their opinion about me, or God's opinion about me. Okay? So I guess you already know the answer. I am really for following God's opinion about what I do because I know that even if I am so imperfect, I know that even if I may not be pleasing to many, I am very much aware that by doing this tonight, I am actually delivering a message. Okay. And delivering that message is more important. So, I hope I have answered the question, what hurts my pride? It's always that attack to my person because, of course, uh, we have a sense of, you know, who we are. And when people kind of hurt that picture of of who we are, we get hurt. And that's normal. I want to say that that's very normal. And moving on, I still want to continue reflecting on that. But also, I want to say this. What I have learned over time is that when you have people who really love you, when you have friends and family who will back you up, support you, and you have very close friends and loved ones who will love you despite your failure and your mistakes, you know what? You will not have false pride. You will not have as much pride as someone who doesn't have all this support. And when you have friends who are honest with you and tell you the truth, you don't doubt yourself anymore. No matter what other people are going to say about you, okay, you will listen to that and maybe pick some that's useful to you. But when you have friends, a group of friends who can really, at any time tell you, "Wait, what were you saying online? That was horrible." You're like, "Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna make up next time." See, it's your reaction becomes so different, okay? Because your pride is no longer hurt, okay? And one thing that I have also learned, when you know how to be humble, to be with the people, even if you think highly of yourself, because that could happen. Even if you have, if even if you're accomplished, you're very successful or wealthy, or whatever, some high degree that you think of yourself, when you are able to still be humble and be with other people who are not supposedly in your level, if you would like to call it that way, you know, things don't really hurt you as much when you are capable of really being that person who can see the perspective of other people, who can feel the feelings of other people, who can be full of wisdom. I know a lot of people who are not capable of doing that, who cannot, stand being wrong in public, who cannot stand being corrected by other people with their grammar. I know people who are like that, and I'm telling you, um, if we are hurt because of people correcting us of what we have said, because of people commenting on the way we look, because of people, making recommendations of what we need to do, uh, with what we think we really are good at, then our pride could easily get hurt. Okay. But when we can overcome people making comments of the way we look, the way we speak, our accent, our choice of food, our weight, our choice of company, then I would say that our pride not be would not get hurt as much. And a person who can be like that actually lives a happier life than those whose pride are always hurt. Okay, so I think I have shared what I have about what hurts my pride, and I hope that what I have shared tonight would be something helpful to you as a way of reflecting during this Lenten season. I will now make this prayer, this favorite prayer. I have read this before, I have prayed over online with you this before, but I'm gonna pray it again because it's just so beautiful. This is called the act of consecration to the Holy Spirit, and I invite you, if you're listening right now, to pray with me. Prayer. Come, Holy Spirit, replace the tension within us with a holy relaxation. Replace the turbulence within us with a sacred calm. Replace anxiety within us with a quiet confidence. Replace the fear within us with a strong faith. Replace the bitterness within us with the sweetness of grace. Replace the darkness within us with a gentle light. Replace the coldness within us with a loving warmth. Replace the night within us with your light. Straighten our crookedness, fill our emptiness, dull the edge of our pride, sharpen the edge of our humility. Let the fire of our love quench the flames of our lust. Let us see ourselves as you see us, that we may see you as you have promised, and be fortunate according to your word. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. Amen. Thank you for joining me this third day in my journey to the Detox for the Soul this Lenten season 2021. I hope that our question for tonight, for today, what hurts my pride, is going to be a guide for you to reflect on clearing your soul, clearing our souls, and preparing for God's salvation, for Jesus' salvation this Easter. See you next time.